No timeouts remaining.
Oh, he causes too many timeouts. It's a technical foul.
What's up, guys? This is Ryan Wilson here with another installment of the Spectacular Magazine's No More Timeouts podcast. This evening, myself and reporters Greg Hansbrough and Rodney Hunter will be breaking down the ACC men's tournament, previewing the NCAA men's tournament, and the NCAA women's tournament. We're just going to start things off with introducing one of our new reporters, Greg Hansbrough. What's up, Greg?
Hey, Ryan, thank you for having me on tonight. I'm really excited to dive right into this. It's been kind of a crazy year with the whole COVID situation, but I'm really pumped about this. Let's get this rolling. Are you comfortable starting off the ACC tournament?
Yeah, let's get things going with the ACC. I mean, Greg, you've been a Tar Heel fan. Let's get things started off with that. I mean, UNC had a great run and broke things down. I mean, they were rolling, and I mean, they got tripped up by Florida State, but I mean, losing by 2 to one of the best teams in the ACC. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
So to me, it's kind of like UNC this season has been kind of a roller coaster. They've been up and then they've been down. You can almost set your watch. They have one really good game. They're going to have a letdown, which I was kind of fearing with the Florida State game. But Florida State has been solid all year. They're a steady, consistent team, and I've been really impressed with them. And the one thing nobody's really harping on is that I felt like the referees were pretty awful in the Florida State game. I've never been one to blame the refs on anything, but a player took 4 steps and a hop, and there was no call there near the end of the game. So I'm not saying that the refs are completely to blame. We should have played a lot better, but they didn't do us any favors in that game.
I mean, so I'm with you on that. Being in the arena that game, the referees, they were poor for Carolina, but they were also poor for Florida State. I mean, I think the officiating, not even just that game, but the officiating throughout the tournament, I wasn't really a fan. I mean, the championship game, I mean, the calls were going 50-50 on that. They were calling little touch fouls. I mean, I was even having a conversation with somebody on Twitter, and they were discussing like how they were just so disappointed with the referees and just the officiating going on in the semifinal game. But then I was even saying, like, most Carolina people and NC State and Duke people, we don't really like Teddy Valentine. That's just kind of how it's been. But I thought Teddy Valentine would have done a better job than what we were seeing. I mean, that's just me. Rodney, you were watching this game. What were your thoughts with this?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get over how they missed a goaltending foul. Mondo got fouled on a putback or a little bunny shot, and the second guy came in and hit it again. And everybody in the gym saw it. I heard the boos from my house, and I live here in Greensboro also, so I don't see how the refs missed it. As a whole, the refs were pretty bad. Carolina didn't help themselves either. I feel like if you make your free throws, you win that game. I mean, no matter what's going on. Yeah, there was a lot of missed calls, but they didn't help themselves either. I had a feeling Florida State would win that championship game. I mean, I picked them, but you just got to give credit where it's due. Georgia Tech came out ready to play. They had that day off. They didn't get to play Virginia due to their COVID exit. So they was well rested and prepared, and it showed Saturday night. It would have been better if the Hills was in it, but it is what it is, and kind of gets me ready for next year to see it all over again.
Yeah, I mean, so I think all year people who talked about Florida State and UVA being eliminated because of COVID. I mean, this has been one of those crazy years that we don't know what's going to happen, and we couldn't predict. I mean, Duke came into the tournament, no one even talking about them even making the NCAA tournament. And then they go on this little run. They get Florida State in the, they get a Florida State matched up. and then it's gone. They get COVID, and then UVA gets set up in the semifinals against a really good Georgia Tech team, and I was really looking forward to that matchup, and that gets taken away because they get a COVID. So I mean, we've been covering Carolina particularly on this, but like looking at the other matchups this tournament, I mean, what did you guys see as other good matchups or something that you really wanted to see happen and just didn't happen because of COVID?
I'm going to
know for me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I'm going to say that it kind of got me a little bit crazy because I'm a Carolina guy all the way. You know this. But I wanted to see Duke actually do a little bit better because it makes us look better if we swept them during the season and then start playing well. So I felt like once they lost the player that was holding them back, Jalen, they got so much better and were making their runs. I'd like to see how they did and how they would do if they were given the opportunity to make the tournament. So that kind of made me sad. Obviously, I want the Tar Heels to do a lot better than the Dukies, but I was kind of thinking it'd be interesting to see what they could do after they lost somebody that was holding them back.
I know for me, kind of what Greg said, it would have been nice to see the Heels win it, just being a Tar Heel fan. I'm going to go in a different direction. I think NC State, when they lost Devin Daniels, that team significantly dropped off. Of course, there was their top scorer, their guy that could get a bucket. Tournament time, when you need buckets to win, I think he would have shined in this ACC tournament. And not only I don't know, I'm not saying they will win, you know what I'm saying, but I just feel like as a team going into the ACC, because they lost him, midway through the season, towards the end. So towards the end, going into tournament time, I feel like he would have been a great player for them. It just sucks that, the ACL, once you tear it, you're not going to come back from that season. So it just would have been good to see him in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, so like looking at the way NC State got matched up, especially like in the ACC tournament, I mean, they finished the season really strong, winning 5 straight games, and knocking off UVA was a huge win, and that was really helping them get a run. And then they get matched up with just a red hot Syracuse team.
Red hot.
And I mean, and you look at Syracuse, like Syracuse put a hurt into NC State in the tournament, and then they matched up with UVA, and I mean, UVA beats them on a Reese Beekman buzzer beater. Like, I mean, you look at that, and it's set up perfectly. And and moving forward to kind of like, I guess going into the NCAA tournament, I mean, Georgia Tech was a bubble team 2 weeks ago, and then they win the they win the ACC, and it's kind of like, okay, they came from this team that was one of the last 4 in 2 weeks ago, along with Duke, and then win the ACC, shock everybody. And I was there watching that game. They are a really good team, and it's not just Moses Wright. I mean, Moses Wright, yes, he's the ACC Player of the Year, but Jose Alvarado is not just one of the best defensive players in the ACC, but he's one of the best defensive players in the country. He is all over those guards. He was just flustering the crap out of MJ Walker. I mean, he forced MJ Walker to 8 turnovers that game, like 8 turnovers for MJ Walker. I mean, that's just nuts. And then you got Michael DeVoe, who ended up winning the tournament MVP. I mean, he went off.
Don't forget about Jordan Usher neither. He can definitely get a bucket too.
Yeah, I mean, there was what was it, like a minute and 30 seconds left? He had a just nasty dunk on the baseline. I mean, he threw that down hard. So I mean, like, and you look at that, and then it's like, okay, now you get them paired up at a 9 seed, and I guess like going forward with the NCAA tournament. I mean, so you got Georgia Tech at a 9 seed now. You got Syracuse that got in one of the teams in there, snuck in an 11 seed, and then we got our North Carolina Tar Heels at an 8. I know all 3 of us were big Tar Heel guys, so I'll start with Greg. I mean, what do you think about that seeding for them? Do you think it's a good matchup?
I think it's a good matchup because I'll tell you this. One thing I know about Coach Williams is that at the beginning of the year, if you watch throughout the whole season, yeah, they have a little ups and downs, but he has them ready for tournament time every year solidly. And look, this year, everybody, mid-December, they're like, the Heels aren't going to make it. And they come out and they smoke Louisville. They smoke Louisville. They stamped their seal of approval on Notre Dame. They came out, they swept the Duke Blue Devils, which is awesome. They did all these wonderful things. I think they could have a good run if they can figure out how to get rid of the roller coaster effect, which I feel like they will because they didn't have the fall off in the Florida State game. They were right there to win near the end.
Yeah.
Piggyback off of that. Was it weird?
No, you go ahead. You got it.
I was going to say, piggyback off of that, he's absolutely right. March is always focused and locked in time for Roy. I like the matchup with Wisconsin, but they have got to guard the three. Not only does Wisconsin have three-point shooters, if they get past them to Baylor has more three-point shooters. And we know anything, Carolina does not guard the three well. I know they like the help on the dribble penetration on the drive, but they leave shooters open. And if the wrong one gets open, it's going to be lights out. I still want them to go far. I hope they win the whole thing, but playing the defensive three has got to be a factor.
Yeah, so like you look at some of those matchups. Like you said, Rodney, they got to guard the three, and if they don't guard the three against Wisconsin, they're going to be in trouble. But if they get past that, Jay Bias even saying, last night after the tournament was set, he was talking about Baylor. It's different when you play a team that's got two shooters, but when you play a team that's got 6, 7 shooters,
right?
It's ridiculous. It's insane. You look at the matchups that that you're gonna have to put out there. Who like for me, I've been covering every team this year. I've been trying to watch every single team, and I've been watching Baylor this year, and they're nasty. Jared Butler runs everything, but then you got Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Adam Flagler, and then I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. I think it's Justin Chamamachua or something, or no, it's John. Oh, yeah, they call him Everyday John. I think that's what it is. Jonathan Chamamachua or something. He's going to be difficult inside, which is hard to say for a Carolina team that's got such great bigs like Baycott, Sharp, Kessler, Brooks. You can look at all those bigs, but Chamamachua is going to be ridiculous. But like they say, it's March Madness for a reason, and kind of leading forward. If this is March Madness, what's your guys' Cinderella team this year that you think is just going to make a run? Like anybody that's kind of like, I guess, lower than a 9 seed that you think could make a deep run in the tournament to at least just not win it all, but at least maybe go to the Elite Eight.
Well, off first glance, I haven't really gotten to look at a bracket. I'm not sure what seed Syracuse is, and we'll maybe have to fact check and double back later for a correction.
They are an 11 seed.
11?
Yeah.
I like Syracuse, and I'm going to tell you why. Buddy Boeheim can score. If he gets hot, he can score. Not only that, that zone is very, very hard to beat. It's not even common in NCAA. Nobody really runs a zone. When you think zone, you think Syracuse. Boeheim has that zone locked in. And say what you want, it may be old school, old-fashioned. It gets the job done. And if you can cause turnovers or miss baskets on defense, get it on offense, and get Buddy Boeheim hot, ain't no telling what Syracuse could do. So I definitely have my eye on them.
I'm going to go with you on that, Rod. I definitely agree because players come and go, okay? Let's be honest with this here. It's the coaches that put together the team. The coaches are recruiting the pieces that they see to be successful come March and throughout the season, correct?
Correct.
So if you've got somebody like Boeheim, who's a proven success in coaching, he's going to bring people in that are going to be successful and fit the pieces to the program that he has put together to be a good coach and for his team to be successful. And he has those players put together he knows the types of players that go together for his own. He understands how things are going to come together to be successful in March. So that's why I'm picking Syracuse, because the experience. You can't sleep on experience ever.
I'm with you guys both on that one. Syracuse with Buddy Boeheim shooting. You look at Allen Griffin, Quincy Guerrier, all those players. They could definitely make a run. But I'm also looking at, and this is really, really Cinderella given how their season's been. I'm looking at the Georgetown Hoyas.
Oh, I was just gonna say them.
You got Patrick Ewing as the coach, and then you look at their matchups. And first round they got Colorado. Colorado kind of fell off a little bit at the end of the Pac-12 season. Let's say they get through that. They either get Florida State or UNC Greensboro. Yes, Florida State is great, and we mentioned that. But here's the thing. In the ACC championship game, Florida State turned the ball over 25 times. They have the ability to turn it over, and they have the ability to turn it on and just really beat up teams. So if you get a Florida State team like that, you could end up beating them. Then you look at possibly Week 16 matchup. Most likely the Michigan Wolverines being the top seed in the East. Michigan is missing one of their best players, Isaiah Livers, for a certain period of time. We don't know when he's going to come back or if he's going to come back. You watch the Big Ten tournament in the semifinal, they struggled without him. They were still able to hang in there with Ohio State, but they still struggled without him. So right then and there, if Georgetown can get hot, we talk about experience and we talk about, Boeheim as a coach for Syracuse. You got one of the best players in the NBA with Patrick Ewing as a coach for Georgetown. And right there, I see that. I see Syracuse. And I'm going to be really, really Cinderella here. I'm going to maybe even consider Colgate as a 14 seed. They're coming out of the South bracket. They got Arkansas. Arkansas is a really good team, but Arkansas has the ability to get really, really sloppy. And Colgate can score the ball. They average 87.5 points per game. That's like top 10 in the country this year. They can score the ball. If they get through Arkansas, then they can get possibly Texas Tech. Texas Tech is one of those teams that could beat anybody but could lose to anybody. And then maybe Sweet 16, you could be facing Virginia Tech, you could face Florida, or you could face Ohio State. Ohio State's a good team, but when Ohio State turns the ball over, they're a really bad team, and they could lose. So, I could see, like you guys said, I got Syracuse. I can see Georgetown, and Colgate is a team with the way they score the ball. There's always that one team that's a 12 or a 13 or even a 14 seed that just kind of shocks everybody and just says, we're here to just ruin everyone's brackets. And that's why it's called March Madness. So, we're going to look at some brackets and stuff like that, and kind of leading forward. Now, who's your guys' pick to win this NCAA tournament this year?
So I'm going to jump in here, and I'm going to be y'all's devil's advocate. Okay? So you guys are harping on the three-point shooting of these teams, and I say the biggest piece to a team being successful, other than the old school UCLA team that won the national championship with nobody over 6'4", I'm going to say that's in the John Wooden era. I'm old, okay? So what I'm going to say is you've got to have a big man. Everything runs through the post. I don't think you're going to be able to win an NCAA championship without a great big man. And I think the number one big man in the country goes to Iowa's Luka Garza. I think Garza's going to put Iowa in a position where they can win a national championship this year. I really do. I watched him play early in the season, and I was impressed. And he just seems to have gotten better as the season goes on. So I think that's the key, because a big man controls inside the lane, and all the guards shooting is great, but it's eventually going to be streaky, and you're going to live and you're going to die by the three-point shot. You need to have somebody solid that can get those high percentage shots in the post, which is exactly what a quality big man's going to do for you. and he's going to also clean up the glass for everybody that misses shots. So it's very key to have a quality postman, which is why I'm calling for Iowa to go all the way this year.
Real strong, real strong. I like that. For me, first I want to say rest in peace, John Thompson. You got to figure Georgetown's trying to do it for them, do it for his family and everything like that. So definitely want to keep that in mind. But for me, man, I haven't seen too much college ball this year, but top to bottom, man, I don't think there's a team out there better than Gonzaga. I mean, from top to bottom, you got post scores, wing scores, guards are spectacular. Of course, Jalen Suggs is a phenomenon, definitely top 5 pick. You got Corey Kispert, forward, Drew Timme. And people would forget Andrew Nembhard, the transfer from Florida. He went to Gonzaga. He's doing good out there. And you got Ayayi. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but to me, I hear what Greg's saying. It's all about post play. It runs through the bigs. I feel like guard play is equally important. Handling the ball, no turnovers. I can't see Gonzaga turning the ball over a lot. They're smart possessions. They know how to score each level. To me, there's no chinks in their armor. So I got a hard time picking against Gonzaga. I mean, anybody can lose any given day, but to me, I think that's the strongest team in the field.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys here. And also, I'm going to throw a little fact in about Syracuse that we forgot to mention earlier. Syracuse has not won a national title since 2003, and that was the year that Carmelo Anthony was there.
Carmelo.
If they make a deep run, that's something you need to look at as well. If it's Carmelo was the guy who took them that year. If they go this year and make a deep run, could it be Buddy Boeheim? Could it be someone we're not talking about even off the bench? But kind of, going back to the picks, I like both of you guys' picks. I don't see a team that's more balanced than Gonzaga that has the inside and the outside scoring. And Greg, using your words, every team needs a big man. And I'm going to be kind of shocking, I think, a lot of people with this pick because this team has been really good at times and it's had its flaws. But I like Illinois. They got to have a big man, like you said, Greg, and they got Kofi Cockburn inside. I have not seen a big man look as lean at his size. He's 6'11", 7 foot, 285, and I think he has 7% body fat. I ran in college for 4 years. I have 7% body fat. I think. I don't know. He is that size, being 6'11". And then you look on the outside and you have, if you talk in Illinois, you can't not talk Ayo DeSumo. He started masking up because he had something going on with his nose in the Big Ten tournament. And it was basically like, okay, it's game on. You knew when he put that black mask on, it was game on. It was lights out. It was like Ayo's going to take over. And then you look at other outside scorers. I mean, you got Andre Curbelo, who's just turned into a great player. Great player. I mean, he was turning the ball over a lot early on in the season, and you're looking at him and you're like, oh, he's just a freshman. He's trying to develop himself. Well, I think he's developed really well. And then you look at as they call Ace Wolf on Instagram. You look at Adam. I believe it's Adam Miller, if I'm correct on that one. He's a great outside scorer. He is able to drive in. And if he starts driving, you got that dump down to Cockburn. You got the kick out to DeSumo, Curbelo. And then you also got the experienced guard on the outside as well with Trent Frazier. So I think Illinois, to me, is the one team that could really scare a lot of people because they can score outside and they can score inside. They also have another big man. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. I know he's number 15. I think he's a Serbian player, if I'm correct. He's from Serbia. He's another great player. So for me, I'm going with Illinois. I think they have the ability. If it's not Illinois, then yeah, I'm going with Gonzaga. Jalen Suggs is balling out this year, but I like Illinois right now. I do. I think they have. I think they have the depth and I think they have the talent to kind of surprise some people. I mean, they're the Big Ten champs in a Big Ten this year that was absolutely loaded. I mean, the final AP poll had 4 teams in the top 10 in the country, and that's probably the best the Big Ten's ever looked. So, that's what I'm thinking. But also, the NCAA women's tournament just got released tonight, and the NC State Wolfpack are a number 1 seed, and not only number 1 seed, they are the number 1 overall seed for the first time in school history. So, I mean, is this the year the Wolfpack kind of make the run, guys, or what are we going to see out of this Wolfpack team in this tournament?
I think we're going to see a great team. I think that ACC championship game versus Louisville, they was not down and out. They were losing on the scoreboard, but they never quit, never gave up. That's what you want to see from a champion team. And they came back and they took that game. It wasn't a matter of Louisville lost it or nothing of the sort. State made a decision that we're going to win this game. We're going to find a way to win, just like Coach Westmore said, and they did it. So, to me, I feel like they have a great shot to win the whole thing. If they play how they played in the championship and everything is clicking, you got your guard play, Kai Crutchfield, Jakia Brown-Turner scoring, Kayla scoring, Big Smile, Lissa Kunane in the post doing work. I mean, you can't go wrong. That's balance, outside and inside. So I'm sure it'll be a great tournament, but I can definitely see them winning it all.
That doesn't surprise me a bit. They've been on the up and up all year. If you look at their trajectory, they've just been steadily getting better all the way up. They broke my heart because I'm a Tar Heel, and they broke my heart when they beat UNC, when UNC was playing very well mid-season. Remember that? UNC beat Notre Dame, and they were on the up and up, and I was going crazy because I love the Tar Heels. And then State broke my heart and beat them when they were on their way up. So I think that they're justified, and I'd like to see them go far. I'd love to see the Heels win it, of course, on both sides.
Of course.
But I'd like to see – I think they're valid as a number 1 pick.
I agree with you both. Greg, you mentioned UNC. They got in as well. They are they're an 8 seed, I believe, or are they
10 seed.
10 seed? Oh, my bad on that one. They're a 10 seed. They get matched up with Alabama first round. What do you think UNC has to do well in this matchup to move on?
I think they've got to play their game, man. And one thing I can't emphasize enough, I've said it before in the podcast, and I'll kind of reiterate it here. Leadership and great coaches are a huge key to the success of any team. I personally have seen how much Coach Williams loves his players and loves and has a passion for his team and what he does. I've had the pleasure of getting to speak with Coach Banghart and get to know her through her players and some of her staff a little bit. And she is one of the most impressive leaders I've seen in all of college basketball. I mean, the way she shows how much she loves her players and her staff is just incredible. And you can see that reiterated by her players. They're happy. They're proud of what they're going through. They trust in the system. All that just shows quality leadership here. And I'd love to see them go deeper, but I also recognize that the UNC women's basketball team are putting the pieces together to have a foundation to build a really beautiful and strong program for years to come.
Yeah, I think Greg hit a nail on the head. Great leadership, and especially when you got seniors like Janelle Bailey and Stephanie Watts to be those on-court coaches, for the floor generals, if you will. For me, they got to make shots. We know they get a lot of possessions per game, and they need to maximize on those. If they want to make the threes, shoot the threes, they got to make them. They got to get inside and score with Janelle and the post players. They got to make those shots and get fouls and ones. And they got to make their free throws. The defense is great. We know they're going to bring it on both sides, but just make shots. That's all I could say is just to make shots.
I think they're going to have to, like Greg said, you got to make shots and you got to play your game. Janelle Bailey announced, I believe, 2 or 3 days ago that she's declaring for the WNBA draft after this tournament. we've seen her play for many years. Where do we kind of see her going in her future? Like, do we see her becoming that huge dominant post player, or do we kind of see her maybe becoming a little bit of an outside game when she gets to the WNBA?
I think she could do either one, to be honest with you. We haven't seen much of the three ball. I'm sure they can add that to the repertoire when she gets in the league. We know she has a free throw line game, and she definitely has an inside scoring game. So all of that can definitely be worked on. I just feel like, she got the potential to do both, especially when the outside of three ball is a new thing now. Everybody's shooting the three. If you can shoot it, then you're going to shoot it. So I don't see any scenario where they don't work on that with her in the WNBA, but she can definitely have potential to be an outside and inside scorer.
I don't know Janelle personally, but I will say this from the other players I've met with the UNC women's team, if she has the same mindset, which I'm guessing she does because she's one of the leaders this season, she is going to roll into the WNBA with what you said, Rod. She's going to develop the skills of the three because right now, if you notice the way the professional game is going, the days of the big beastly post players that just throw people out of the way and dunk it and just obliterate anybody near them are gone. All the big post players now are the extended five. So they shoot the three, they're able to handle the ball. That's all due to European influence. If you look at the European leagues and the players that used to come over to the NBA from Europe, they were the big guys like Dirk Nowitzki's, a perfect example. 7-footer who can handle the ball, dribble, drive, and that has transformed the game. So the big post players in the NBA that just knocked people out of the way and scored are kind of going to the wayside. And I see the WNBA following the lead of the NBA in that. And I feel like for Janelle to be successful, she probably has the right mindset to step in there and allow herself to be coachable and develop these qualities so that she can shoot the extended three and she can dribble, drive, and all these things that Rodney just told us she has. So I think she has a very bright future in the WNBA.
I agree with you guys. I think when most players get to either the NBA or the WNBA, they always develop one skill that was somewhat missing in college. And Rodney, you hit on it perfectly. She's got a great free throw game and mid-range stuff. And I think with her size, if she develops kind of a little, I'm not going to say a 3-point shot. I'm not going to say it's going to be like a consistent 3-point shot, but if she's that type of big man that can kind of like step out and hit it occasionally, I think, kind of like what you guys both said. I mean, she's got a really bright future for her. She's got the skill set. She's had a great career at UNC. Coach Banghart talks very highly about her.
Very highly.
Very, very highly. And this is something that she's known. She even spoke with Janelle about it and was just kind of like, if this is what you want to do, I'm happy for you. I want you to better yourself. I want you to always, I want you to, and like most coaches are always saying, they're always going to be there for the athlete, no matter if you're under that coach or not, and you look at these players and, we'll just say kind of like, well, since we're on Janelle Bailey with North Carolina, most coaches, and especially in this situation, you're a Tar Heel for life. You're not just a Tar Heel for that time. You're going to be a Tar Heel for life. You're, NC State, you're a Wolfpack for life. You're a Blue Devil for life when it comes to Duke. Wherever you're at, you're that person for life. And, watching Janelle Bailey develop herself and grow as a player throughout her career at UNC, it's been outstanding. She's growing into one of those players that when you talk UNC women's basketball history, you're going to talk Janelle Bailey. And I think she's got an outstanding future for her. And I think the WNBA is going to be something that she's going to definitely strive, or not strive for. She's going
thrive.
She's going to thrive and she's going to succeed very well in that. And I think she's got, like I said, a great future. And I think with her, with her game, she can do a lot of things in the WNBA.
Can I just add something in there about Janelle Bailey?
Yeah.
Rod, you mentioned her free throw. If you look at somebody shooting a free throw, really good free throw shooters have very beautiful shooting form. I mean, it's one of the most fundamental shots you get. So basically, you take somebody that's a good free throw shooter and you put those fundamentals and you just lengthen it out. Those players that shoot free throws are able to develop the skills to shoot the long ball three because their shooting mechanics are there. So the parts are there. All they have to do is just put them together so they can develop that long range game.
Exactly. It's just pretty much taking 2, 3, 4 steps out. It's still the same shot. You're gonna be open, especially if it's pick and roll, pick and pop. If you point, drags him out far enough, and then swings it back to you, it's just like a free throw, a long free throw.
Yeah,
And you get one more point for it.
In reality, instead of you lining up for a free throw, you're basically, it's not often that it happens, but a lot of 3-pointers you see, all right, they're either going to get it on a jump stop or they're going to step into it. And a lot of times you get those step into 3-pointers, that's just pure rhythm.
Yep.
And for some of the greatest shooters of all time, you look at that and it's just like, oh, he's got a rhythm three or she's got a rhythm three. Especially you look at women's college basketball history. Some of the greatest shooters. I mean, we can definitely talk with ACC. You look straight up right off the bat. You look at Skylar Diggins. She was a pure shooter. That was straight. Just pull up. I'm gonna bury a three right in your face if you leave me any space. And the saying always is hand down, man down. Well, hand down, woman down. It's the same. It doesn't matter, man or woman. You leave a hand down on a pure shooter, it's buried. And UNC's got those pure shooters this year that I think, that I think they can get through Alabama. They're going to have a really tough matchup in the second round, and I would love to see a huge upset. But it's March Madness for a reason. There's Cinderella stories left and right. But kind of closing everything out. What's your guys' pick for the NCAA women's tournament this year?
Now that I don't have. I did not get a chance to look at the women's bracket. Someone else may be more knowledgeable than I. I'm rooting for the Hills. I guess as a North Carolinian, I will also root for NC State. Anybody local. So I guess that's where I'm at with it until I'm able to see a bracket. I don't want to say on that. I'll let y'all handle that one.
I'm going to go right with you there, Rod. I'm pulling for the Heels because I am a Tar Heel, but I'm also going to say I wrote a paper on Kayla, an NC State player, and I was just thoroughly impressed with the quality of character and the person she is. So I'd love to see them do well because of who she is and because I feel like NC State has worked hard and they've developed into a team. They're not the number one seed for no reason. They deserve it, and I'd love to see them capitalize on that if my Tar Heels don't win it.
I'm going to go with both you guys, with NC State as well. I've been following them all year. Rod, you said it. I mean, you got Jada Boyd, Kai Crutchfield, Jakia Brown-Turner, and then the big smile on the inside with Elisa Kunane. But the one player I think we all kind of forgot about until Raina Perez, exactly. Everybody was kind of saying, all right, they have the scoring. Raina Perez is facilitator. She's everything that holds it together. But let's also remember, she was the West Coast Conference Player of the Year at Cal State Fullerton last year, and she averaged over 20 points. If that girl wanted to score, she's going to score. And she showed it in the ACC championship. I mean, that shot, that was beautiful right there. That was absolutely beautiful. So I think NC State's got a great shot this year in the women's tournament. But I'm going to have to go with the UConn Huskies. It's nothing against NC State at all. I think NC State's going to make a Final Four run. And if they don't get matched up with UConn in the semis, I think NC State can make the final. But UConn this year, it's UConn every year. Everything kind of goes through UConn. It's how it is every single year. But UConn's got one player this year that has kind of become that player that it's like, okay, she's that good. And Paige Beckers, that girl is a scoring machine.
You can't keep them one.
Oh, she's that good. Like, and that is, you know, and kind of like I said, hand down, man down, that's her. You put any hand down, she is going to bury a shot in your face. And if you get up close with her, she's going to drive on you because she's got the handle to break your ankles too. She is skilled in every aspect of her game. And, you know, there's other good players in that UConn team. I'm not going to say that they're not loaded with other talent because they're always loaded with talent. But what they have this year that I don't know they've had in a few years ever since Maya Moore kind of took the offense and ran it, they have a true point guard that's going to run that offense and roll everything through her. So I got UConn winning the women's tournament. But I do think that it's going to be much closer than other people predict because everyone always says it's UConn versus everybody, and it kind of is. But this year it's UConn versus State. It's versus Louisville. It's versus
Baylor.
Texas A&M. It's versus South Carolina. It's versus Stanford. There's a bunch, and let's not even forget the Maryland Terrapins. You know, everyone's kind of just like, oh, Maryland's that one team.
Tonight.
Maryland has been kind of dominating the Big Ten for a few years, and they're good. They're a really good team. So
I'm not counting out Baylor either.
I'm not counting out Baylor. Baylor's this year is on the 1 year where it's like, oh, Baylor's not top 3. What happened to Baylor? And I agree with you, Rodney. I'm not counting them out either. There's a lot of good teams this year in the women's tournament, just like there's a lot of good teams in the men. So, I mean, we've said it before in this show. It's March Madness for a reason. So, you know, I would love to see some crazy upsets, both men and women's side. I'm not even sure if we would consider NC State winning the title an upset because they are the number 1 overall seed. But if the saying is going to be everything goes through UConn, then it's an upset. But for me, it's not. Both those teams are really good, and if they play in the championship, it's going to come down to a last second shot. And given how the season's been, it's going to come down to Paige Beckers versus Reina Perez in the final seconds, and that is totally fine with me. So I'm looking forward to both tournaments. But you know, I want to thank both you guys for joining the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk this tournament, and we will get to see what these next couple of weeks looks like for March Madness.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to see it.
Thanks for having me on this show. I really enjoyed it. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and make sure you go over to our website at www.spectacularmag.com and go to all of our social media accounts at SpecMag Sports and check out all of the information from your favorite teams in the Triangle area and updates on the NCAA tournament throughout the year or throughout this March and I guess April from North Carolina State, North Carolina, and any other updates you want to see from us. Please let us know. All right, thanks, guys.
They have no timeouts remaining. He crosses too many timeouts.